So we're going to look very briefly at the basic knife types. We will cover the basic cuts in a separate lesson. So the most important knife in the culinary kitchen is the chef knife. We utilize the French style chef's knife, and they have a curved blade. So when you look at the blade, it is actually curved, and that is for the rocking motion and the type of cutting that is used. The parts of a knife, as you look at them here, you have the tip, which is the very front part, and that does include the point. The edge is the cutting part that you use to actually cut through. Use the whole blade for cutting, but the edge is the area you use the most. The heel of the knife is going to be back here at the very back of the sharp part. The non-sharp part of the blade is your spine, and that's going to be the top part here. So when we talk about the spine of the knife, we are talking about the back and the non-sharp part. The bolster is where the knife and the handle come together, and we will use this term really often to describe where you hold for your knife grip. The rivets are not always seen in a knife. The rivets are essentially what holds the handle together. The butt of the knife is the very back. The tang of the knife is the blade that extends all the way through. That is not always visible. If you can look at the handle of the knife and see that the metal of the blade extends all the way to the butt and all the way through the handle, then that is generally an indicator of a good quality knife. The knives that we use in the classroom are not expensive chef knives because I am working with beginners and we are really hard on our knives. And so we buy cheap knives and we use and we replace them pretty often. So the tip is for the detail work, and that is for paring, trimming, and peeling. Honestly, I generally use a paring knife for most of those tasks, but a chef's knife for bigger. If I'm doing something bigger like a watermelon or a squash, then I would use a bigger chef's knife. The cutting edge is the bottom edge of the blade between the tip and the heel. Slicing, carving, precision cuts. And then the edges, you've got different types of edges depending on your types of knives. Generally, your chef's knife is going to have kind of a tapered edge. It's really sharp. A serrated knife, which we'll cover, has teeth, kind of like grooves, kind of like a big chef's knife, like a saw. So serrated is like a saw. And then there are other types of knives here, which we could talk about when we talk about specific knives. So the spine is the non-cutting edge that's not sharp. The heel is the widest and thickest part of the blade, and you use the heel to cut through large or hard, tough foods, like that watermelon or squash. The bolster is there at the heel of the blade, and that is where the blade meets the handle. And then the tang, again, that's where the blade goes all the way through the handle. The scales make up the handle, and then the rivets hold it together. And then the butt is going to be the end of the handle. So when we're looking here at types of knives, actually, I think I'm going to